Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hey guys, what's up? History Matters recommended video. What did Native Americans do during the Civil War? Good question. I have no idea. But that's what I'm doing this for. All right, time to find out. If you're new to the channel, my name is Connor. Hello. I'm from Rhode Island, best state in the Union. I like to learn about history to YouTube recommendations. Help create that atmosphere, bring in people from different countries around the world together and have a place to learn and talk about history. That's my main goal. So the original link to the video at the top of the description. Right below that, link to the Discord. Click on it if you like to learn about history, chat, whatever, hang out. Love to have you. Pull up a chair. More the merrier. And right below that will be the link to my second channel where I react to more non-history related videos, material. Let's do it. What did Native Americans do during the Civil War? History Matters. I must have done almost 100, non-exaggerating, reactions to this channel. I know how great they are in summarizing. A lot of people, see this channel as too oversimplifying. You can't cover things in 3 minutes, but that's precisely why I like it so much. I think it gives you a foot into the door of any topic you're not very sure about, and it gives you something to latch on that you're curious about and then learn more about it and research it more. So nothing wrong with it. Let's go. If you are not ready to learn, there's the door. You're in the wrong class. Home ec is down the hall. Make me French toast. No, cinnamon rolls. Okay, let's go. Or just chill.
When we think of the American Civil War, we often think of several things. Of its leaders like Abraham Lincoln and Jefferson Davis, of Confederate and Union troops duking it out in bloody combat, or of what the Civil War was all about. What isn't often considered is the role that Native Americans played in the conflict and how the Civil War affected them. So what did Native Americans actually do? Who did they side with, and what did they think of the American Civil War? It shouldn't surprise you that Native Americans weren't exactly keen on the white Americans who had progressively been taking more and more land from them over the previous centuries.
Sorry, I just want to say guess, because I've never thought about this much. I'm going to guess that they sided with both sides in order to whatever helped them most. That'll be my guess.
The primary tribes that were affected by this were collectively known as the 5 civilized tribes who had previously been forced westward in the decades prior to the outbreak of the Civil War. These 5 tribes were the Cherokee, the Creek, the Seminole, the Chickasaw, and the Choctaw, and all of them sided with the Confederacy, largely because they held the Washington government as responsible for their forced deportations, and also because many of them had economies dependent on slaves. Not in their entirety, of course. Many within these tribes had sympathies towards the Union with respect to abolitionism. Not only that, but one major concern was the repercussions for choosing the wrong side. They'd already lost a lot, they didn't wish to lose more. These divisions ripped many tribes apart and led to people from the same family fighting for both sides. One man of particular importance was a Creek chief, Apothleyaholo, who argued that Native Americans shouldn't get involved with the Civil War because it was the white man's problem. In response to this, the Confederate-aligned tribes attacked in late 1861, and Apothleyaholo fled north into Kansas, where he would remain until his death in 1863. In early 1862, the Union launched an offensive into Indian lands, and despite the best efforts of the Confederate-aligned Native Americans there under the command of Stand Watie, the Confederacy was beaten back. Soon after this, the Union captured the chief of the Cherokee, and by the end of the next year, it was in control of all of Native American territory. Did this mean that the war was over for Native Americans? No. In fact, many were sent eastward to go and fight there, whilst those that remained waged a guerrilla war. The primary leader of the Native American raiders was again Stand Watie, and he spent over a year raiding.
So modern day, without the panhandle, Oklahoma is where at this time many of the Native Americans were settled. I'm guessing that's like you said, they were pushed over there. I know Andrew Jackson, the Trail of Tears, kind of pushing people out of Florida, Georgia, Alabama towards Oklahoma. So that makes sense.
Guerrilla war. The primary leader of the Native American raiders was again Stand Watie, and he spent over a year raiding Union supply trains. Watie was so good at his job that when the Confederates restructured the army, he was placed in command of all of its Native American units and promoted to the rank of Brigadier General. And despite the best efforts of Watie and the Native Americans in the West, the Union still won the war. And 2 months after General Lee's surrender, the Native American tribes capitulated as well. So after the war, what happened to the Native American tribes that sided with the Confederacy? Well, nothing good. all slaves owned by natives were to be freed and given full citizenship within the tribes, and
The Native Americans owned slaves?
morally, all slaves owned by natives were to be freed and given full citizenship within the tribes. And whilst morally it was a good thing, economically it was absolutely devastating for these tribes. The tribes were also forced to sell much of their lands to the federal government at a reduced rate, the money raised from which was then promptly appropriated as war reparations. Of course, there were more than 5 tribes involved in the Civil War, but
The Seminole and Cherokee stand out the most. The other one's sort of familiar.
none of them came out of it well. Even those who weren't too involved, like the Comanches or the Cheyennes, were forced to sign similar documents which confiscated their lands and moved them to reservations.
Cheyenne,
The federal
Wyoming.
government, soon headed by veterans of the Civil War who, for the most part, had a distaste for their former Native American enemies, ignored these treaties where it suited them. Tribes would lose yet more land, be placed on reservations, and would spend over a decade trying to fix the divisions which had plagued them during the Civil War. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, with the special thanks to my Patreon supporters who you can see on screen here.
Interesting. Good video. History matters as always. So, I mean, they had Native Americans from there. If I put myself in their shoes, they've been beaten back by the European settlers for decades, centuries, but decades, centuries, and they're just trying to see, how can we come out of this? How can we be in the best position after the European North and South finishes up their Civil War? So that makes sense. Awesome. Doing exactly what I expect History Matters to do and what they do so well. Giving me a little peek inside something I didn't know much about and I'd like to learn more. I'll do another video today for sure. I might do one on my other channel too. Subscribe to both. See you guys next time.